ends with Dutch and Mac. Did you just say Mac with a mouthful of alcohol?
Sure did.
Oh, that's great. Welcome to Predator Minute, the podcast that breaks down the 1987 action sci-fi classic Predator 1 minute at a time. I'm John Zabriskie.
And I am Jeff Glover.
And today we're talking minute 39 of Predator. You might call it the Greg Ostertag of minutes.
Rejected by Ostertag. He's got 9.
Who's that?
he was a longtime center for the Utah Jazz back in their heyday as doormats to the Chicago Bulls.
Right.
Back-to-back championships in 97 and 98.
Oh, so he got dunked on a lot.
Yeah, he was like the big white dude on their team who was dunked on.
Man, every team has a big white dude, or at least they should. Right.
Yeah.
So we're Seattleites. Were you a fan of the Sonics back in the 90s?
I was a fan right after they stopped being really good. That's when I became a big fan. Like when they had Desmond Mason and who was the big guy who had lots of Reggie Evans, the Collector.
Oh, okay. So I was a pretty big fan back in like kind of the peak Sonics, like early and mid 90s, like the Gary
Sonics.
Exactly, like the Gary Payton, Sean Kemp,
the Rain Man.
And our big white guy was Detlef Schrempf.
Yeah.
And Schrempf was awesome. He won like the 6th Man Award a couple times. He would just come up off the bench and drop jump shots and swear at people in Russian, and he was fucking awesome.
I think wasn't he German?
Okay, swear to people in German.
Who knows? He could probably speak some Russian too. I mean,
some European language.
We are an educated podcast.
Sorry, Detlef. I know Detlef's a listener, so I apologize to you. But Detlef was awesome. That was our big white guy.
Well, Detlef was awesome. He every year did like this charity haircut thing where he would cut fans' hairs or fans.
Would he give everybody the Detlef Schrempf cut?
Yeah, and my little brother Zach Zabriskie, former guest, Zach.
I like eating dog food.
Brother of the show, when he was like maybe 3 or 4 years old, my dad took him there and had the buzz cut or the Detlef cut.
Did he get it cut by Detlef?
Yes, and I believe his picture was in the newspaper way back when with Detlef cutting his hair and little baby Zach with this kind of scared look on his face as this humongous man is clipping his hair with hair clippers.
Did he immediately start swearing at people in German?
I think it was Russian. Man, how dare you?
That's right, Russian.
Yeah, he said, what does he say? What does Spindle Thorson say? He says like, Nachivus.
Oh, yeah.
Nachivus.
And then gets shot in the head.
Right. Yeah. Classic.
That's good. So anyway, what was it?
So anyway,
Ostertag. Okay, cool.
Greg Ostertag. Yeah, and that's minute 39. We have a good host of minutes coming up on the way where the sports numbers are going to be a little bit more popular, I would say. You have the Rain Man, who's number 40, and you have several really, really good 41s and
lots of good 40s.
Lots of good 40s. So
39 was not plentiful.
No, not plentiful. Yeah. Not the highlight of numbers, but it's a good number all the same. And minute 39 opens with Hawkins playing Jungle Team, or maybe some Jungle Tag, and ends with Dutch and Mac watching Billy, who is watching the jungle.
Yeah. So we got the team. They're moving through the jungle. I feel like in a different movie, they might have some Credence playing here as they walk through the jungle.
Yeah.
But we get Hawkins. I feel like we haven't seen much of Hawkins lately. He's coming on down this hill, and he's holding his weapon, and he does this nice little move where he kind of pauses and points the gun sort of very gently off camera, almost like you would if you were 8 years old playing guns in the woods.
Yeah. Oh, it's such a funny. I'm going to point my gun here. I'm going to put my gun there. Nobody else is doing this except Hawkins, so I think it really sells him as the rookie.
It's very deliberate. He points. He actually moves his hand and points it in a direction. He's got those big Coke bottle glasses on too. The whole sequence is pretty funny.
Yeah. It's like, gotcha.
Ooh, nothing over there. All right, everybody, here we go.
Yeah, and in the background you see Dylan and Anna moving down the hill. It almost looks like Dylan is helping Anna a little bit. If she's, she might be stumbling there a little bit, and he's catching her.
Yeah, he must be over the leaves thrown in the face because he's very gentlemanly here, helping her down the hill.
Yeah, he's a gentleman, CIA man, agent man.
Thanks, Carl.
Thanks, Carl.
Thanks, Carl Weathers.
Thanks, Dylan.
Yeah. So after we get zoomed down the hill, the bulk of the minute, this is a pretty cool sequence, I think. Did you like this part? I liked how, I don't know, I like the different camera angles here, and we'd see different shots of our team. We get a little predator vision, and everyone is sort of staring off in the same direction, and Billy gets a little unnerved.
Yeah, and I really do enjoy this scene too, because when you're watching it, you don't really know what's going to happen next. If you're watching this for the first time, you might be thinking, is this a time where the team is going to come face to face with this heat vision adversary that we've seen, this clawed hand, and maybe this monster who's going to pop out of the jungle at them right here? What's going to happen? We really don't know. And Billy's our, what would you call the barometer for the paranormal?
Yeah, he's kind of the proxy for the audience here. He's staring at the jungle like we're staring at the jungle. I really like this wide shot of Billy kind of strolling from left to right. It's a wide shot. We see most of the frame is the jungle, and Billy's kind of in the foreground. This is a really great movie to watch in true widescreen high definition. I watched this movie so many times as a kid, just TNT or whatever on TBS, in the 4:3 aspect ratio on your shitty dad's, your dad's shitty tube TV. So we live in an era where we're really spoiled getting these Blu-ray releases of these great movies, and we can watch them on these high def screens. And shots like this really pop. The color and the image, it's really good.
There's just layers to every shot. You can see what McTiernan's trying to do with these shots, where he's cutting back and forth between the team who's hidden in this hilly, claustrophobic, viney area, and he interlays that with Billy out in the open, just by himself, looking out into the jungle, and the camera is behind him. This kind of Billy cam to show us exactly what he is seeing, which is a lot of empty jungle, but it's this wide open space. It's this different area than what the team is going through.
Yeah, and it must be terrifying, right? Because it's at the same time wide open and claustrophobic, right? You feel like you're surrounded, but it feels endless. I don't know about you, but when you were at this shot, were you looking for the shimmer?
I was looking for the shimmer. I made a note that between 18 and 19 seconds, just because we are so desperate for a look at the Predator, especially us watching this time and time again, that I almost fool myself into saying, between 18 and 19 seconds, next to the large tree to Billy's left, there's a little tiny bit of a flash of a shimmer. I don't think that's anything other than just maybe some sunlight breaking through or a reflection. But if I was desperate enough, I would say, oh yeah, right there, because that is where the Predator is supposedly looking at Billy from the Predator's vision. You can see the Predator's looking around a large tree. And when it zooms to that Predator vision, that is scary to me, because it looks like Billy is just right there, or it looks like the Predator is really close to Billy. And you might be thinking, is the Predator going to hop out right here and do a surprise attack? is it going to wait?
That is jarring when they really quickly, right in the middle of the sequence, they really quickly jump back to predator vision kind of abruptly, like you don't expect it. And and the predator vision kind of pans from right to left, like he's behind a tree.
Mm-hmm.
And you realize that, oh shit, he's right there. Like Billy is right in front of him. I mean, and we cut right back to Billy, to that wide shot, and we can see the tree that he is presumably behind.
Right.
That tree, to the left. And yeah, I agree with you. Like you look over there and you're really searching for it. I don't think it's actually there. Like especially just from a filmmaking, perspective. Like if they're going to spend money on the special effect, you're going to see the special effect.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not. I don't think it's actually there, but right where the predator is just from that quick predator vision shot. So it's a really well done sequence. I like it.
Yeah, and just like I was talking about the layering before, this scene really gives the jungle some depth with some vines in front of the camera as it's tracking behind Billy. And then as, like you're saying, as the camera's moving left to right, everything kind of freezes in place once it settles behind Billy for a few seconds. But in that movement, everything, you can see the entire jungle in front of him just shift and settle in as the team comes behind him and is trying to figure out what in the world is Billy doing.
All right, so after this sequence with Billy, where we kind of like see the jungle from his perspective, we get the predator vision. Mm-hmm. Now we kind of like have a series of jumps to different characters that are all kind of watching Billy. Right?
Oh, did we talk about what Billy's doing? Like what he's holding?
I don't think we're quite there yet. So
okay, so we're I'm jumping the gun a little bit. Thanks.
Yeah. So we get the sequence with Billy looking into the jungle, right around second 20. It ends around second 20 of this minute, right. And then we get a series of cuts to different characters. Right?
Okay, so take it away.
Yeah. So it cuts back to Mac. Thank you. Yeah. And Mac is watching Billy. Then it kind of cuts back to someone else. I can't quite tell. Oh, it's Hawkins in the bushes. And then we get the cut to Arnold. We were talking about this part earlier. This is great. Like, cuts back to Arnold. He's holding his weapon, and he's clearly looking ahead to Billy. And there's some commotion behind him. Like, the rest of the team is coming down that little hill. And he sees Billy stop and look around. And he does this awesome move where he just throws his fist up in the air, and the team behind him just comes to a stop. What do you think about this shot of his bicep right here? This is like bicep porn, John.
I think this is what all the gym going and the competing, the lifting is being done for, these hero shots just for the biceps.
Oh, it's such a hero shot. Like, if you pause the movie right here, like, it could be the poster or like the cover of a video game for this movie. Like, his fist up in the air, and his bicep is like trying to break through his skin. Like, it looks unnatural. It's so big.
It is. Yeah, it is just freakishly large.
Massive. Like, I am a small person. I am not muscular. I don't exercise. Like, his bicep and tricep is the size of my head. It's so big.
It is something that John McTiernan talks about in the commentary for here. He says Arnold really worked on like the weightlifting during the shoot, and so much so that it became a competition between him and the other actors, where they were just going to the gym all the time. And if you remember a few minutes ago, Sven Ole Thorsen, a good friend of Arnold who's in this movie, helped set up the gym and run the gym a little bit. There's all these stories of the guys like running 10 miles a day and working out at 4 a.m. and mismatching shirts to fool Jesse Ventura.
I've heard about that. Like, they made a bet. They told Jesse Ventura to measure, or he wanted to compare his bicep measurement to Arnold's, and Arnold told him to tell him that his was bigger, even though it wasn't.
Right.
The biggest thrill for me was when we hit Wardrobe.
and I happened to view Arnold's wardrobe tape, and when my arms taped out 1 inch bigger than Mr. Olympia's, that made Jesse Ventura feel pretty good.
Well, I'm very happy about that, because then my joke worked. Because I told the wardrobe department they should tell him that, so I can bet him a bottle of champagne afterwards when he comes to the gym. He came to the gym 2 days later and he says, you know something, Arnold? We should measure our arms. Who has bigger arms? I said, of course we should. I said, let's bet a bottle of champagne. He says, of course we should. And then we measured it and my arm was 3 inches bigger than his.
What the fuck?
And he lost a bottle of champagne. So, I mean, you know, the psychout trips, they work on everybody, on bodybuilders and also on wrestlers. It was good.
Yeah. I love that. I wish I could have been there to see that. It's such a great story. Oh, funny joke. I fooled you. You are stupid
and weak.
And your arms are small
and flabby.
That's okay. I do that with my daughter's 4T t-shirts. I put them on so I can flex in the mirror and look strong.
Oh man, we had the little 6th grade class Olympics in my classroom the other day.
Oh, nice.
One of the events, of course, was arm wrestling, and then the big 6th graders like, yeah, Mr. Z, like, fight me, let's arm wrestle. And of course, I'm like a grown man with children, so I just wham, wham, you know, give him his lumps and just move on. Just
was it so satisfying?
It was satisfying for about 5 seconds, and then it was the saddest thing ever.
It was just sad.
It was just sad.
Oh, man. I used to always love like we would do like the students versus staff basketball games when I taught middle school.
Yes,
and it was just an excuse to like body check like some kid you didn't like.
Yeah, just really dress him down.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, buddy. Oh, foul. Okay, here's the ball. You take it back.
Mike was so good at. Mike was like a bulldog. I don't know if you remember Mike when he played, but he was brutal. And I invited him to a basketball night that I was a part of, I think last year, and he was just totally wrecking people. He's such like a wrecking ball in the court, but
because he camps out and grabs rebounds and like he'll throw people around with his body.
Yeah.
And he's real competitive, so he just doesn't give a shit.
So competitive, yeah.
Yeah.
He fit right in with this squad right here.
Okay, so back to drooling back to having a man crush on Arnold's bicep here. This reminds it just like makes me realize like why he was such a star in the 80s. Like nobody looks like Arnold, you know, like when you see this it's like a quick almost throwaway scene where he throws his fist up, throws up the bicep, but it's like, holy shit. Like,
the team knows that bicep.
Yeah, like it's unreal. And so at the very least, like he became the star that he was because no one looks like Arnold. Like he's just ridiculous.
And it's just all part of his look too.
Yeah. And he's got that stern face on while he's facing forward, and the guys in the background just stop on a dime when his fist is up. And then he does that great move where he just opens the hand, right? And as soon as he opens the hand, they start moving again. Like it's just all seamless. It's so great.
But they know exactly what all that means, because the fist means stop, and the open palm does not mean like just keep going. It means like settle down, like move to a place you can settle down, because that's what the team does. The team doesn't.
Oh, you're right.
The team doesn't keep moving past them. They just pause, take a knee, and Dylan pulls Anna down and says "Kayate," so that Dutch and Mac can have a little conversation about Billy.
Yeah. Oh, so it's kind of like find a spot and wait.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. So is that what he says? Kayate?
Yeah. Shut up. No, I mean that's what he's saying.
Right. No, yeah. Fuck you. No. When he first said that, I thought he said kumite, which is what the crowd chants in Bloodsport when Jean-Claude Van Damme is fighting. I was like, is that kumite?
Maybe we'll see some Jean-Claude in this movie later on. We'll see.
Little Jean-Claude connection.
Yeah.
All right. So Arnold, the old fist up in the air, he opens the hand. All right. So what happens next here? So he stops the crew. They all settle in. We got Dylan that kind of
Dylan
settles there with Anna, and then we cut back to a nice close up of Billy, and the camera panned or zooms in, and Billy is rubbing his little, I don't know, his little love pouch. Like, what is this he's got around his neck right here?
Well, in the script, they just call it a talisman, which would be an object believed to have some kind of magical properties, either protective or in general magic, or enchanted somehow, or some kind of family heirloom that he's holding and he's rubbing. So I am super curious what it is. There's never any mention of it by name in the movie, and in the script it's simply talisman. And when we zoom in, it looks like a leather pouch on a leather string, and there's something in there. What do you think is in there?
Oh man, it looks like it could be a little, like it's kind of looks like it's sort of hard, like it's a little stone maybe, but maybe it's a little something special he keeps right there. Maybe, this is the 80s, like there's no internet. Maybe it's a little he's got his favorite pornographic magazine page folded up in that little pouch. Folded up real small. Keeps it stuck right in there, and when he's feeling nervous, he just rubs that little guy.
Wait, we're talking about the talisman? What's got Billy so, I don't know, excited down there?
Oh, he's got to let off some steam.
Let off some steam, Bennett.
Let off some steam, Bennett.
I need a minute. I don't know.
What's your hypothesis? What do you think? Do you think it's something other than a pornographic magazine page?
I think to answer the question, we have to put ourselves in the mindset of Billy, as in, what would I have in my magical neck pouch? And gosh, the thing that keeps popping up for some reason is a tooth. I don't know what tooth or whose tooth. Maybe like a cool shark tooth, maybe like a wisdom tooth they took out. Last year during Halloween, I had a crown that popped off when I was eating caramels. So maybe it was that with like the caramel still attached.
Billy's caramel crown.
Billy's caramel crown. He's just rubbing it for luck.
Maybe he swallowed his crown, and then a couple days later he retrieved it and decided that it was meant to be and just kept it.
What about you, Jeff? What would be around your neck in a tense situation?
Oh man, putting me on the spot.
Yeah.
Around my neck. Well, if I'm gonna be like honest and sentimental, it would probably be like a picture of my daughters.
Aw.
I know. Yeah, I went from dick jokes to this is sentimental, but honestly, like if I was in a war situation like this and I had something special, it would probably be something related to my family. Maybe a photo of my wife and children, or like a little, heirloom or something that my daughters had given me before the trip. That's probably what mine would be.
That's a much better answer than what I had. I like that. That's also my answer now.
Were you going to say like your, I don't know, one of your Nintendo controllers or something?
Oh man, that would not fit, but that's a great idea. But it's like folded up really tiny. Just like
really, yeah. Or maybe just the very first like B button from your original NES.
Right, because you would hold it down to run.
Oh. So you gotta rub it. Yeah.
gotta rub it. And I think the camera work does a good job of showing Billy to have a really tough, scarred up, bleeding face, but him rubbing that talisman. To me, the viewer tells me that he is scared. He is nervous. He doesn't know what to expect any more than we do.
Yeah, no, he is worried. Like he's been on edge for the last, for most of the first act of this movie, he's been sensing that something is off. And Yeah, and so this just confirms that. And when he's done rubbing his little talisman here, we cut back to Dutch and Mac. Mac. That was funny. Mac. And they basically have a conversation about just that, right? Yeah. So they.
Do you want to do a dramatic line reading?
I was gonna say, like,
Yay!
yeah. Should we do a dramatic? Although I don't have the lines. Wait, I need to pull up the script. Okay, sorry. Cut all of that out. Yeah.
Cut what out? It's gone.
Yeah, let's absolutely do a dramatic line reading. Now, who do you want to be?
I'll be Mac.
You're going to be Mac? Okay.
Yeah.
Mac! I will try to do Arnold. What's got Billy so spooked?
So spooked.
Wait, I'll try again.
No, that was great. I love it.
All right. What's got Billy so spooked?
Okay. Can't say, Major. Been acting squirrely all morning. That damn nose of his. It's weird. And scene. I don't even. What does this even mean? That damn nose of his. Like he's like the hound dog for them.
That's I think the interpretation is he's like a dog on the hunt. Like he can sense that he smells something is off.
So it made me wonder that this has to be something that the team is used to, right? With Billy acting squirrely and Billy doing Billy things.
Yeah, like he's acting off here. That damn nose of his. He's, we've been seeing all along that he's like the tracker. He senses something is off, and I feel like the rest of the team is really finally coming around to it. They could have played it off earlier as, oh, he's being paranoid, he's being suspicious, or and maybe unnecessarily so. But at this point, I think they are just as spooked as he is. He might have a little bit more of a reason for whatever reason he can tell that something is in that jungle with them.
Yeah, I think the team is doing a great job of respecting that and not calling out to him like, Billy, what's up? Or Billy, what's your nose telling you? Or Billy, how's the little talisman feeling right now?
Yeah, you're right. They just kind of like let him do his thing, don't they? Mm-hmm. They just stand back and they're clearly concerned. They're having that conversation between the two of them. What's got Billy so spooked? But they're not bringing it up with Billy.
Right, and we'll see Dutch approach Billy next minute and ask,
what's got Billy so spooked?
But we'll leave that here for right now. I think my last note here is that this is an all-team minute. We see all of the whole team together in 1 minute. Panchito and Blaine are in the background as Dutch raises his fist. So we see them a little bit, just moving around and then freezing again.
Nice. All-team minute. That's rare. Very fun.
Yeah. Love the all-team minutes.
Yeah.
Take them as we can for... Yeah. I don't know, the next few minutes or so before we have less of a team to show.
Nothing added to the kill count, though.
Nope. Wah, wah.
Yeah. So does that round out this minute?
The last thing I'll add is that when we see the Predator looking at Billy in this open space, this is foreshadowing for me and for anybody else watching this on repeat of Billy's fate when the Predator is approaching Billy, making his final stand on the log after he cut himself with a machete. And the Predator is approaching him. So a little bit of foreshadowing. I have to argue that is going on here.
Yeah, no, I think that's true. I think that was probably intentional. Yeah.
I can't think of anybody else having such foreshadowing, like where it's that similar imagery that we see early on than we see later on. Like everybody else has. It's not like Dylan at one point like catches his arm in the door or something like that, and it's like, damn door, right? And then like later on, it has his arm blown off. It's just his arm is kind of blown off out of nowhere when you're watching it. Except some people have argued that that's just tangent. Some people argued that showing the bulging arm handshake with Dutch was somewhat foreshadowing for him losing his arm later on. And in fact, Dutch is also shot in the shoulder and the arm area, but his arm does not fall off because the weapon is in the way.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah. Huh.
Well, I'll take all that back. I guess there's I think there's going to be foreshadowing for every single death. I'm just going to go ahead and reverse that decision.
Yeah, throw that out there.
There's going to be some foreshadowing, and we're going to talk about it every time a character unfortunately dies, which they have to do for this movie. So sad.
Yeah, so sad, but so awesome as well.
Yeah. Hey, what else is awesome, Jeff? What do you have on your recommends for this week?
Are we in the weekly recommend segment?
We are.
Ooh, fantastic. I I didn't get a chance to watch a lot of movies this last week, so I'm going to recommend another podcast. One of my very favorite podcasts. As soon as an episode of this drops, it is an auto download for me. It is a podcast called Reply All. Have you ever listened to Reply All, John?
I have not heard of Reply All.
Ooh, Reply All is a good one. So there's a large podcasting media company called Gimlet, and they have a number of good podcasts, and my favorite of them is called Reply All. And the tagline for the podcast is simply a podcast about the internet, but it is so much more. It is a show hosted by two guys named PJ and Alex. What's great about it is you never quite know which show you're going to get when an episode drops, and they do different types. Some shows are kind of like investigative journalism, where they find some issue or something, or maybe a scam that's going on online, and they investigate it and try to get to the bottom of it and figure out what's going on. And those are super interesting. It kind of reminds me of maybe more of an NPR style, investigative journalism piece. Some segments are more about maybe an internet controversy or drama that's happening that they do their best to explain, that maybe you're out of the loop. Maybe there's a thing going on YouTube or Twitter, and they will try to explain kind of what the drama is that's happening there. And then they also have some episodes, some of my favorites are called Yes, Yes, No, where they bring a guest on and the guest brings them a tweet or maybe a Reddit post that they don't understand. And the two hosts, who are kind of nerdy internet experts, will break down and explain to them what that particular tweet means, what does the meme mean, what are they referring to, and they go into a backstory and really try to explain kind of where this particular piece of internet culture came from. And that sounds super dorky, but man, it is really well put together. It's a very well produced podcast. It's interesting. PJ and Alex are really funny together, and it's just great. So check out Reply All, one of my favorite podcasts.
Okay. And did you have a certain podcast episode that stood out to you as that someone could try for the first listen?
Yeah, thank you for reminding me. So I did. I wrote down a couple episodes. If you've never watched before, or excuse me, never listened before, there are a couple that I would say are good kind of jump in episodes that will give you a feel. So if you would like a really good Yes, Yes, No episode, check out episode number 131, and you'll kind of get and that's a fairly recent one. You'll get a feel for what I mean when I say yes, yes, no. If you would like a good example of an investigative journalism type episode, check out number 102 and 103. It was a two-part where one of the hosts investigates a kind of one of these scammers that will call you, like a phone scam.
Yeah.
And in investigating this phone scam, it leads him to traveling to India. And he travels to India to try to get to the bottom of this phone scam. And the story is fascinating. And he records and documents the whole trip and what he goes through. It's really good. And then if you want a good example of them trying to dissect a internet drama that's happening, check out episode number 126. It's called the Alex Jones Dramageddon. And that's a good kind of just a good snapshot of what they do in that type of episode.
Okay.
So there you go. Reply All. It's just great. If you've never listened to it, you can really not go wrong just going back to the beginning and starting to rifle through their episodes. It's really good.
Okay, cool. Well, awesome recommend. Thank you.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, everyone check it out. It's really good.
Cool.
What do you got for us, John? What's on your recommend list this week?
Well, season 2 of this show on Amazon just dropped about a month ago. It's a superhero comedy farcical show. It's called The Tick. I don't know if you've seen that.
Oh, I remember the original Tick.
Yeah, and
way back in the day.
Yeah. So The Tick has gone through a lot of different iterations. The cartoon show, live action show, and this is the second live action show. This stars Peter Serafinowicz and what is his name? And Griffin Newman. I forgot his name. Griffin Newman from Blank Check podcast, which is a whole other recommend some other time.
Oh, yeah, that's a great podcast.
Yeah, great podcast. But The Tick would be my recommend. I really enjoyed the first season. When it came out, I really am enjoying the second season, as the Tick is the Tick himself is this just very positive, very chatty, and somewhat naive superhero / super creature who's fighting on the side of good, but he talks all in these superhero cliche platitudes like you're going to be a great hero today, hero. And we're seeing all of the Tick's adventures through Griffin Newman's character's eyes, Arthur, who plays the sidekick character, the Moth, who is mortal, way different than the Tick himself. And as they're going through trying to fight crime and trying to battle supervillains, it's a really good, it's a really good trip as you're following the sidekick trying to learn how to become a hero, albeit really reluctantly and comedically. So give that a try. That's The Tick. It's season 2 just began, I keep saying began. It's Amazon, so they dropped the whole thing. Right. Season 2 just dropped, like I said, about a month ago.
Would you say, could you enjoy this newest iteration without having seen any of the other Tick series in the past, or do you kind of need to know the lore to enjoy this one?
No, you don't need to know the lore at all. It does a great job of revealing piece by piece who the Tick is and who Arthur is and what exactly the conflict ends up being for the whole story arc of the whole series, however long that series is going to go. And it's what makes it really enjoyable, I feel like, is knowing less in the beginning. I feel like really serves the viewer in learning along with Arthur what's going on.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah. I like that. Yeah. Awesome. Good recommend. Thank you.
Yeah. So where can people find you, Jeff?
Oh, you can find me on the Twitters, capital K Carl _ capital H Hungus 314.
My name is Carl H. Bin Expert.
Come check me out.
Yeah. I see you talking movie things on there, and occasionally the sports quotes are up there.
Yeah. Yeah. I've been trying to be more active on the Twitter. I enjoy Twitter. I feel like Twitter is a thing that you can enjoy most if you are very careful about who you follow and who you don't follow. Yeah. And you can just sort of Twitter's cool because you can kind of create this little bubble of things that you enjoy. And, so my Twitter feed is mostly filled with, movie news or pop culture stuff, some sports stuff. So, I tend to tweet and retweet things about that. So if that interests you, come on by Carl Hungus 314.
All right. Will do.
Yeah.
You can also find the Predator Minute on Twitter at Predator Minute. You can also email us any crazy, kooky hand gestures you use to direct your team in the jungle or in the classroom or on...
Or tell us what you keep in your leather pouch around your neck.
What in the world is in that bag? What you got in that bag?
That's what I'm most curious about, I think, is what is your talisman that you're rubbing nervously as... Death looms over you and stares you in the face. Mine apparently is an old tooth that popped out.
Mine apparently is an old page from a pornographic magazine that I found in the woods.
Just rubbing it one last time.
One last time.
You can also share those thoughts on our Facebook page at the Predator Minute Listeners Palapa.
Target the center of the palapa.
Target the center of the palapa.
Target's the center of the palapa.
And for all things Predator Minute, I've been John Zabriskie.
And I am Jeff Glover.
And until next time,
stick around.
Stick around.
What's got Billy so spooked?
What's got Billy so spooked? What's got... He kind of whispers that line.
Yeah.
What's got Billy so spooked? What's got Billy so spooked?
Sound kind of like a Minnesotan.
I feel like I just slipped into Sean Connery there.
What's got Billy so
spooked?
Dude.
That was such a good dude.
What's got Billy so spooked?